Hey everybody, this is Maxine Taylor with my April Trumpology report, and I have Trump's chart right here. So let's go through it together, shall we? First of all, let's start with the sun, the giver of life. Wherever that falls in your chart at present, that is the area that comes alive. That's what you put your attention on. Think of walking into a dark room and turning on the light. That's what the sun does. So the eighth house is the house of secrets. It deals with other people's money. It deals with death and the death rate. I don't have to elaborate, you know what we're talking about. It deals with transformation, which is always a possibility. And what is also a possibility is a transformation of the ego, as well as other people's money. So the eighth house, I laughingly refer to as sex, death, and goods of the dead, which is the old-timey description of the eighth house. So this deals with many, many secrets, not just financial. And he's looking into them. This is what may have prompted, or is reflecting, I should say, his decision to give families who make a certain income a rebate on their taxes. Might be what has inspired the people involved to extend the annual revenue tax, the deadline for our revenue tax, from April 15th to July 15th. This is just significant, the timing of this, of the income tax change in date. All right. On the 10th of April, the sun moves into the ninth house of the bigger picture. And so he's seeing a much larger picture. It deals with, the ninth house deals with foreign relationships. That means other countries at a distance and their leaders. Now, the sun is moving up to the midheaven. It won't get there this month, but in May, check with me because it's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to see much more of Trump's ego, much more emphasis in May on his public image, as naturally each month we get closer and closer to November 3rd. So right now, eighth house. Whatever is going on here, we'll see the tip of the iceberg. Other people's money, secrets, the death rate, secrets, change in his attitude toward joint finances, and secrets. Ninth house, expanding his reach and reaching out to other countries. Okay. Now, we have a new moon and a full moon, of course, every month. The full moon is on April 7th. It's in 18 degrees of Libra. Find 18 degrees of Libra in your birth chart, because that tells you where things are going to come to a head. On the full moon, everything comes to a head. So that's what's going on here. And it sits on his Jupiter, the great benefic, in his second house of money. Now it's hidden behind the third cusp. And so there is an inflow of money, but it may be hidden by virtue of the fact that Jupiter is hidden. But you might say, well, it's not that hidden because Jupiter expands whatever it touches, and it's right behind the third house of communication. And Trump is certainly talkative. All right, so that's the full moon. And because Jupiter rules his eighth house of secrets. He's going to get more information about other people's money that he may not share. He's going to have more communication on a secret, private level, because the eighth house is, as I mentioned about 50 times a minute ago, secrets, particularly dealing with joint finances. Okay. That pretty much tells it. Now, after the full moon, the moon starts waning. And on the new moon, which is 2 weeks later, it starts growing. And it starts growing in this beautiful ninth house that has him reaching out to foreign countries, foreign leaders, perhaps, even traveling to foreign lands. So we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out. Now, I want to talk about Venus and Mars. Let me start first of all with Mars, because it doesn't move. It's sitting there in his sixth house of work, health, and service. This is his own health. This is not the country's health. That's in the United States chart. So Mars in the sixth house has him focused on his health, his job, his work, his employees, his underlings. And there can be anger involved with Mars. It's in Aquarius. Excuse me, I've got so many charts just sitting here. It's in Aquarius. And so there can be more of a humanitarian effort on all of our parts, all over the world, not just Trump's. But wherever Mars is, that's what you throw yourself into. So he's throwing himself into his work, into his health. And Mars rules inflammation, so that there can be issues with his own health relating to inflammation. The sixth house deals with our intestines, our colon, and so that can come up. I don't know if we'll know about it, because remember, dealing with secrets. All right, so that's Mars. Now, Venus, the lesser benefic, is sitting in his 10th house of his public image. Wherever Venus is, it brings love, it brings positive recognition, and he is having a wonderful time being the leader, being out front. Whatever he's going to be doing in April, he is enjoying. However, and some of you know, because you study astrology, some of you practice astrology, so I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. Venus is going to go retrograde in May. Prior to that, it will enter what is called the shadow of the retrograde Venus. Any planet that retrogrades has a shadow side, both before it goes retro and afterwards. In fact, if you haven't watched the video I did, I think either toward the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020, I did a video called Mercury Retrograde, the prequel and the sequel. It explains in detail what happens in the shadow. And we start feeling the effects of the retrograde, in this case, Venus, and Mercury will come along in a little bit and go retrograde, but that's next month, of course. Actually, Mercury goes retrograde in June, Venus goes direct in June. So Venus will go retrograde in May. When Venus is retrograde, it feels just like a retrograde Mercury. And of course, what I'm saying is that we're going to have a tag team. Venus and Mercury are going to be retrograde, either in the shadow of their own retrograde or retrograde from during the time of Venus going retrograde going into the shadow of the retrograde April 9th, and Mercury coming out of the final shadow of the retrograde in July. And I have the date, I'll share it with you as we get closer. So during that retrograde, if we're confused now and not sure who to believe, it's going to get stronger. And let me just throw this out to you. This is why I'm offering a special, a 6-month forecast for you. I'm not going to take away from what I have to say about the Trumpology report. Just go to my website, MaxineTaylor.com. You're going to want to have your own roadmap. And because people now are concerned about their health, their families, their money, I'm offering it at a great discount. Okay, back to Trump's chart. Venus is in the shadow. It goes into the shadow on April 9th. And we'll see, as I said, when Venus goes retrograde, it feels just like a retrograde Mercury. Everything is confused. So with Venus in his 10th house, he feels great. His public image is terrific. And then Venus kind of wobbles. No, not literally, but it feels that way. And so on the 27th and 28th of the month, Venus sits on Uranus. And a Venus-Uranus aspect is excitement. It is spontaneity. It is desire for romance, for just enjoying yourself. In his case, it will be public. Venus rules his midheaven of his career and his third cusp of communication. So, of course, we're going to hear what's going on at that point in time. Stay with me the next few months. It's going to get interesting. And the last planet I want to talk about is our dear friend Mercury. It starts off the month in his 7th house of relationships. Whether it's with his friends, whether it's with business relationships, business partners, or Melania. There's a lot of communication, and other people are calling the shots, wanting his attention. And there is a tendency to go out there and be with more people. Now, I don't know who those people would be, because the 7th house also rules the public. So I guess I want to say more of the same. All right. Now, on the 6th of April, Mercury enters his 8th house. Now, Mercury is communication, correspondence, transportation, our mouths and our minds. In the 8th house of secrets, we're not going to know a whole lot about what's going on. He has private conversations, dealing with joint finances, dealing with what's going on now because of the virus, the coronavirus. It brings in the concept of money and of death. And of course, as the numbers continue to climb, that can be of concern. So on the 23rd of the month, Mercury, which is what we think about and talk about, or talk to, enters the 9th house of long distance communication, correspondence, and transportation. So once again, this is interaction, verbal interaction with, or written interaction, both, with foreign leaders, foreign countries, and even travel to those countries. So this is the way April looks for Trump. Next month, and as the summer moves along, we have, as I mentioned, the tag team, the retro tag team, Mercury and Venus. We have 3 eclipses in the summertime during this double retrograde. uh, so that what would normally be occurring can be unsettled because of those retrogrades. There is a hurry up and wait tone. I will keep you posted. Uh, if you have questions, of course, please feel free to ask about the United States chart or Trump's chart or what the world might be feeling in general. So, my dear friends, till next month, may the stars shine brightly on you and yours. Bye for now.